Okay, so hey guys, my name is Jay, and this is my blog right here. So Bill Murray, our dear protagonist, he's 72 years old. He's been divorced twice, and he's been labeled a sex addict and accused of infidelity by both of his ex-partners. And so now Bill hears of this island which is supposed to possess the ultimate aphrodisiac in the form of sacred olive oil. And this island's culture has a rich mythological background, and it's formed on this ancient fight between Athena and Aphrodite. And to this day, the island's culture is kind of like this myth is kind of ingrained in the people's minds. It's all in this tale of the sacred olive that I'm going to read to you now. A short distance from the mainland of Istanbul, in the middle of the Bosporus, between idle tides and tireless streams, there's an island governed by Athena and Aphrodite in equilibrium, almost as if they were dancing. It was so very long ago. Their people lived in full bliss, as they were civilized but free, as they were cultured but humble, as they were emotional but truthful, as they were reasonable but passionate. Until one day, Aphrodite herself laid claim to the piece of land. From then on, the people of the island acted under her decree. They gave up purity for lust. They gave up reason in turn for instinct. Their demise finally arrived when they gave up cultivation for intoxication, when they gave up knowledge for ignorance. Soon, not a single skipper remembered how to set sail and embark to the shores of Istanbul. Their fertile fields, neglected by the farmers, partaking in the barbarism. Famine and poverty led to war and savagery. Their only rescue was the return of Athena, holding a spear in one hand and an olive branch in the other. She came forth and planted a single olive tree on the most fruitful place of the harsh bedrock. Its roots spread across the whole island, guiding the people back to lost knowledge and wisdom. The people swore to Athena to lay off desire and emotion in turn for fact and reason, and to ensure the peace of the island. Before Aphrodite was banished for her actions, she laid a curse onto the young tree, making its immature fruit the ultimate object of seduction, an aphrodisiac stronger than everything known to human and beyond. From then on, the olives of the sacred tree could only be handled when they are ripe. They were only to be harvested when they are mature. The citizens swore to not succumb to the allurement of the cursed fruit, for eating the young olives before would bring back the savagery of past times and destroy the peace of the island. The sacred olive, the ultimate test for the people of the island to withstand their desire and to act reasonably. Any infringement of the island's peace was to be severely punished. So in loving memory of the sacred olive tree,
More attention, please. More. You're so gentleman, yes?
A ring-a-ding-ding?
Yeah. Shinatora? You know Shinatora?
Chapter 1, Temptations. There is an island a short distance from the mainland of Istanbul, in the middle of the Bosporus, between restless currents and quiet waters, whose people are governed under strict order of logic, fact, and reason. They claim to have found absolute truth. By that, they call everyone else a liar. They pay a tremendous price for it, their lives drained of emotion, the peace on the island, merely a matter of oppression. Through tales, I've heard of the olive tree, whose fruit is so precious that the Gemlik and Ayvalık olives pale in comparison. Its young fruit so enticing that even the sirens of Sirenum Scopoli were envious of its effect. And they said to the olive tree, "Reign over us." The people of the island disdain the olive's most desirable quality, however. They only begin the harvest when the olives are ripe enough, when the effect of the aphrodisiac is long gone. I must go to the island to show them the ways of passion and free the people of their dictatorship. The olive, the last resort to satisfy my intimate desires. Any infringement of the island's peace was to be severely punished. Chapter 2, The City of Truth. It was a transparent and breathless night. I had arrived in Istanbul the day before and taken a boat to cross the river. The Bosporus was bathed in silence. Watching from the shoreline, the island has a mysterious air. At its base, the Court of Justice, the columns reflecting the image of the garden surrounding it. The idea of layering, intensification, completion are alien to it. It has no layers. A monument for a truth that the people claim has vanished in the rest of the world. The island, their last resort for reason. Topping the tower is a lantern, overpoweringly bright, exaggerating the size of the islet. Its ecstatically pink, life-size replica of the long-since vanished lighthouse of Alexandria is visible for miles. I could see my object of desire from afar, guiding the boat and my senses alike. The little twig on the tree in the evening light became an experience sunk deep, an experience that could scarcely be expressed in words, meandering through the gardens that never quite allowed one to grasp its reality. To tell you the truth, this capital of the continent has for the moment the effect of a desert on me. I inspected the garden, the flower garden, kept with utmost precision, grand axes slicing the island into geometric units of delegation. It could be emitting a beauty far greater than the gardens of Hagia Sophia. Somehow it seems perfect, but it will never attract any bees. Against this background, at once near and limitless, a man stands out in full-length silhouette. He's seen in profile. Caught in his endeavors, he gets startled. Disappearing into the void, all he leaves behind are damaged soil and tools for repotting. Probing the stems of roses, saffron, and tulips, I noticed the pathetic extent of their size, 6 to 8 centimeters of flower bodies enveloped by their miniature neighbors. This garden wasn't made for serious conversation. As I stand before the sacred tree, I notice the same delusion that already cursed the flowers. The honored bearer of peace and truth, diminished to a shrub dwelling in a plastic flower pot. This garden does not whet your appetite, it quenches it. A French Baroque garden, 1 to 5. Nonetheless, before the portals of the court it stood, its archaic branches waving lightly in the wind, as if the tree was joyful of my advent. Finally, the moment of truth. My hand reached for the cursed fruit. I couldn't resist the temptation. Istanbul's watchful eye never misses anything. The moment I touched unripe olive, the guards are already alerted. The people are shouting justice for Bill Murray, whatever that could mean. Chapter 3, A Figurative Reception. I was guided by the guards to the back of the Grand Court. It's approached by water from an oval-shaped harbor. The massive walls and the grand entrance creating a coating suitable for an institution of this caliber. Any visitor was immediately being guided to the statue of Athena. She was enveloped by a vicious backdrop, suggesting another force in play, a force in need of control. The people anticipated what offering I would present to their goddess. What was I supposed to contribute to the peace of the island, to truth? Reluctantly, I tossed one of my weekly pill organizers at the foot of the altar, in honor of 2 rituals as artificial as they are absurd. Chapter 4, The Court. The curtains are open. Istanbul is watching. The citizens of the island gather by the cenotaph around its empty heart. where Bill Murray was to be placed. The jurisdiction sat on high thrones, looking down on the accused. The imbalance was apparent. Different concentrations of truth seemed to make the hall sink towards the side of the judge. The throne had to get higher and higher to still enjoy the vista. Behind the gracious framework, more and more clutter to hold up the graceful seats. Soon the throne will have no other support than a heap of corpses and ruins. A flood of citizens forced themselves onto the chairs that were of significantly lower quality than the one of the jury. A hall of asymmetrical densities, a game of medium density fiberboard versus African blackwood. Their views fixated on the ornate backdrop of the high powers. Nobility as a graceful ornament to the civil order. One by one, the witnesses would present their assessment regarding the state of the olive tree, an arena for a symposium. For example, the gardener says, along with his ruinous physical interventions, the accused scrutinized the garden with that attentive gaze which studies rather than looks. Robbing the sacred tree of its young fruit has pushed it into deep, incurable illness. Its eternal trunk is splintering, its everlasting leaves are wilting, the seed of future peace has been sown into toxic soil. And after a pause, he added, anarchy is entering this garden. Interlude, Ascent to Purity. Bill, exploring the island, looking for a space suitable for the consumption of the stolen olives. He finds a peculiar entree, veiled in an abundance of olive oil flowing down its walls, the view on the city crystal clear for now. Before it, subtle experiments on an organic substance, fine marble stairs guiding him upwards. It could only be the judge's domicile. The olive, my last resort. I have tried Viagra, Levitra, Staxine, even oyster. He takes shots of olive oil straight from the bottle, himself resembling more the pouring stream than the moment of sophistication the tower provides, feeling as if he was betraying the olives in his pocket, knowing that it wouldn't provide the same sensation. But this cannot be a space for sacred olives. An aura of intoxication forces him to sit down, looking out the window opposite the bar. The sun had already set, the skyline of Istanbul in purple lights, maybe in honor of truth. Bill climbs higher and higher. The steps seem to be getting larger with each stride. He's getting exhausted. I've tried amphetamine, Cialis, Stendra, even ginseng. Tight entries spiked with coat hangers slowly undress Bill on his way to the top. In a state of mania, he soaks his broken fabrics on the lubricated wall. The judge's closet, a treasured space for something as mundane as textile, almost demanding one to get naked before entering his room. Mere artifacts of who would actually be able to give true justice in this day and age. Hiding behind garments cannot be enough anymore. Opposite the wardrobe, no more views, simply a mirror. Bill looks back at his naked, frustrated self, the blinding glow of the marble only allowing a distorted gaze. 5 staircases with 5 entrances. No, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 spiral staircases around the tower, and one is not visible to another. And when anyone is in one, he cannot go into another. And it is a good system for those who are maintained there, that it prevents them from mingling with each other. The higher he climbs, the more he tries to reach the top, the more removed he seems to get from his desire. His skin is wearing down from the cold ceramic of the walls, attempting to wash his clothes. After some time, the fatigue consumes him and he collapses on the stairs. Chapter 5, The Carcass. It had been a dense and hysterical night. The judge took me by the hand, guiding me through the cursed system of the tower, the place of my frustration. Before we enter his chamber, he tells me, first I will show you the truth. Upon entering the top of the tower, I was blinded by the purple luminescence of 1,000,000 lamps hanging off a steel frame construction, flooding wide shelves, ordering 10 million seedlings to grow. Light is the center, its source is the artificial. It was a manufacturer for the sacred olive tree, a laboratory for truth, the holy aphrodisiac spewing down the bottom of its shell. The composition would almost be too artificial were it not broken by slight hints of the natural. All that remains of the 15th century cupola was its silhouette, mimicking the lantern that it once used to be, guiding boats on the Bosporus, as if its function had never changed in 300 years. I stared at the olive that was in my pillbox, having lost all meaning, then at the arrangement of steel tubes, olive saplings, and hydroponics. Although it was filled to the brim, all that really remained was an empty shell of a truth long vanished. Chapter 6, Appropriation. Bill drags the judge into the chamber in the middle of the dome to finish his mission and free the CIVITAS VERI, a chamber where all the items accumulated would have to make space for the production of truth. Sofas, lamps, treasures, ornaments of authority, the abundance of tastelessness seemed to swallow the extremely tight space. It is perfect. The smoothness of the walls will enforce the effect of the oil. The leather of the furnishing will provide enough friction to enjoy control. The stained windows ensure intimacy, but introduce enough light to not lose the visual feast of the act. The corner was the apex of erotic feeling, a testosterone-drenched territory, a slave to Bill's desires. They fold their hands, the olive getting crushed between 4 palms and 20 fingers. When the oil finally leaks, it displays its full power as an aphrodisiac, as a lubricant, staining the relics of a window frame and wrapping the space in steam. When Bill reaches his state of desire, none of the oil is left. He is satisfied, but the judge is begging Bill on his knees to give up the second olive, for he himself had merely been used without benefit. But Bill chose reason and kept the olive. Chapter 7, The Verdict. People of the island were in disagreement about the right means of justice. Some believed the stranger freed them from the ball and chain. Others believed that he brought disorder onto the peaceful island. It had to be a tomb, as some believed death was the fitting sentence, but it had to be honorable, as others believed that he brought certainty. It had to be a grateful lust and of absolute truth, but a celebration of desire and of reason. This opened up a big cleft in the court. Some brought shovels, jackhammers, pickaxes, hacking onto the lithic floor of the empty heart. Others brought their most valuable items, olives, athenic memoria, and crystalline silicon, to fill the hole dug by their foes, turning the Spartan grave into a sarcophagus. We must send out the truth, dig in the earth for it, and seize it. All parties assisting each other in the relentless sculpting of a cenotaph for their scapegoat. Athena and Aphrodite looked upon the verdict with great amusement, as they saw the people awkwardly stumble, trying to replicate the dance of long lost times that they themselves had unlearned. Thank you.